Hegel.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Ferret 64 with me, your host, Yemmy the Ferret. Welcome on into the one-stop shop for video game news, occurrences, first impressions, and so much more. Once again, we're just gonna jump right into it, folks. We're just gonna jump right in, and because we got a good amount of things to talk about today. So sit back, relax. If you're driving, pay attention to the road. And let's jump into the first segment, which is, what have I been playing this past week? I almost don't want to start with this game, but I know that it's going to be the hot topic for this week. And that is XDefiant, which is the new Ubisoft free-to-play first-person shooter. They used to have Tom Clancy's onto it, but they realized that Tom Clancy's is more of a serious thing, and this XDefiant game is much more arcade. You know, think about Rainbow Six Siege, and you know that's obviously a bit more hardcore of a first-person shooter. XDefiant is your Call of Duty clone or inspired by Call of Duty type game. And I'm not sure what y'all want me to say. It's pretty much Black Ops 4. It feels like Black Ops 4. It kind of looks like Black Ops 4. Obviously, there's no futuristic tech in there in terms of like guns, but you still have abilities much like the characters from Black Ops 4, with characters having like a flamethrower that they can pull out and start spraying people with it. There's like a riot shield that a guy can bring out and bash people with. There's what was the character I was using today? Like a healing spray that you can have. Just all sorts of like things that are definitely inspired by other games, or I mean, I'm sure some of them are kind of unique. Sure, not but I wouldn't say that all of them are unique. I mean, there's even a character who can go invisible for a short time, just like in Black Ops 3 and 4. And it's one of those things that's like, I didn't really like the feel of Black Ops 3 and 4, and with XDefiant feeling so close to those games, it's not really gelling with me. Is this the Call of Duty killer that everyone is talking about? I honestly don't think so. I think this is going to be a flash in the pan type thing. I've been wrong before, and I'd be happy to eat my shorts if I'm wrong about that. But it just has that feeling of like, okay, it's a free-to-play title. There's a battle pass. It feels a lot like Call of Duty Black Ops 4 and 3. I mean, I'm really leaning into the Black Ops 4 thing because it really does remind me of Black Ops 4. Like, this is Black Ops 4 if it was in dystopian modern times instead of dystopian future times, right? Yeah, but there's no campaign or anything like that. Obviously, I wasn't going and expecting one. There's a practice mode, a ranked mode, and an unranked mode. And of course, I'm going to go into the unranked mode. I'm not sweaty. I'm like decent at first-person shooters. Like, I have my runs, but I'm not going to go into ranked mode and do all that stuff. Okay. But there's a couple of game modes you can choose from, and I did play all of them, and I won in a couple of them, lost in a couple of them. I mean, I'm like, what am I trying to do here? The first mode I tried out was Escort. One team tries to take their little robot dog guy to the other side of the battlefield. Very much like a game mode from 007 Nightfire, or was it Agent Undercover, where you had to safely transport a undercover like spy whose cover was blown. So kind of similar there to that, where you're just like you're pretty much just standing by this dog and trying to guard it for the entire time of the game. Zone control. There's a couple of these that are very similar. So zone control, domination, occupy all deal with like control points, like capturing flags. Zone control. The maps are. It's hard to explain what's the difference between zone control, domination, and occupy. They're all objective-based game modes where you take control over a zone or a flag, and then whoever holds them for the longest wins. The difference being that sometimes they move, sometimes they don't. Domination is obviously exactly what it says. I'm trying to think of the words right now. I'm sorry. I was up until like 1 o'clock yesterday. We went to a concert last night, so please bear with me for a minute here as I try and get my brain in order. Domination. It's exactly what it says. You have 3 flags, and you try and control 2 out of the 3 to win. Right. Occupy is a lot like. It's where the objective moves like every 2 minutes or something like that. And you need to go and try and control it. I do enjoy this mode, but I played a lot on like Modern Warfare 2 and the reboot, and I like the Call of Duty version a little bit better because it just feels a little bit better. Like the Modern Warfare series for Call of Duty games has felt a little bit better. Even Modern Warfare 3, as bad as that game is, still felt pretty good, all things considered, because it's just using the same engine as the other Modern Warfare games. And XDefiant, with it not feeling amazing, it feels very kind of cartoonish and sluggish like Black Ops 4 did. It doesn't have the same ring to it. So the objective moves, you defend the objective, blah blah blah. Hot shot is just kill confirmed. You pick up the enemies whatever after you kill them, and whoever has the most dog tags. They're not dog tags in the game, but whoever has the most dog tags at the end of it all wins. And once again, I don't know what you want me to say. I don't like this game. I know that there's a lot of I feel like there's a lot of positive reviews about the game, but I think that a lot of these people who are reviewing it forget that we've had this type of game before. This is not something new. This is not a Call of Duty killer in my opinion. This is not a Battlefield killer in my opinion. And even though Battlefield 2042 didn't perform as well as you expected to, or whatever, they've at least had a couple years to transform that game into something worth playing. Maybe not worth paying for, but worth playing at least if you already own the game. XDefiant, it's free to play. There's no barrier to entry. You can join in and start playing right now if you want to. It's not available on Steam, but it is available on the usual Ubisoft platforms, PlayStation, Xbox, and the Ubisoft launcher, the Ubisoft store. So if you want to try it out, it's free. You can go and play it right now. I was not using custom classes because there's some default classes that just give you good attachments right off the bat. The only gun that was worth anything was the M4A1, which is an assault rifle. All the other rifles had too slow of kill times. And I don't mean rifles. I mean the SMG took way too long to kill. In a one-on-one battle, I lost almost every single time. With the marksman rifle, it sure you can kill in 3 shots, maybe even 2 shots. But the time to kill is slower because you have to press the button multiple times instead of just holding on the trigger. The sniper rifle is a one-hit kill, but it's not the easiest thing to use in close quarters. You got to be pretty skilled to do that. The LMG has a lot of ammunition, but once again, just takes too long to kill. The assault rifle was the one that killed the fastest. It has the fastest fire rate. I was trying all the different weapons. Not every single match, but I was swapping them around every so often just to see. And even the shotgun was not consistent enough. More consistent. It was not more consistent than the assault rifle. So I just went back and used the A4A1 for every single match that I won. I was using the assault rifle only. And in a game like this, where it's free to play and you have all these options for attachments and stuff like that eventually that you can get on your weapon, it's kind of detrimental that the assault rifle is the only gun that's worth anything. At least with Call of Duty games, sure, the assault rifle doesn't have the fastest fire rates, but it has a quick kill time because it's higher damage. This SMG doesn't have the best damage, but it has a high enough fire rate and it can work in close quarters. I guess I could go on, but I don't want to go on. Battlefield also does a really good job, or at least now they've done a good job of balancing the weapons. I feel like as long as you have the advantage, as in you start shooting first, usually you'll win in any matchup. And I feel like that's pretty good balancing, especially because a lot of times you are at a disadvantage, and sometimes you just gotta accept that. But in XDefiant, I really felt like if you're using the assault rifle, it's a bit of a cheat code. You can pretty much kill whoever is in front of you. The other thing that I'm really kind of annoyed by in this game is the auto aim. I was trying to toggle some settings with it to match what I wanted, but I just couldn't really get it to be the way that I want it to be. It has that same problem as other first-person shooters where it'll just kind of hover to whatever enemy is... It just seems to hover to the wrong enemy when you have two people in front of you. It's not going to hover to the person who is right in front of you. It's going to hover to the person in the background who maybe doesn't see you yet or maybe isn't close enough to kill you, But no, it goes to that person instead of the person right in front of me who I'm trying to aim at. And I believe you can turn it off entirely. I didn't want to turn it off entirely because when playing with a controller, you really do need that a little bit of grace to move the crosshair closer to the enemy because, I'm not a PC purist, but the controller has never been as accurate as a mouse and keyboard. Obviously, I don't think that's any breaking news, But yeah, XDefiant, I'm not super into it. As I said before, feels a lot like Black Ops 4, and I didn't like Black Ops 4 really. And here we are. I've decided because, there's really no campaign, and I don't feel like playing the game too much more after this. Decided the market is beaten as of today. And yeah, that's it. That's all. XDefiant. I'm sure there's going to be an audience for it. I don't think there's a single first-person shooter out there that didn't have some sort of audience around it. I just don't feel like, especially once the new Call of Duty comes out, and especially when the next Battlefield comes out, I really don't think that people are going to be going back to XDefiant for too much longer. But once again, I've been wrong before. I have been wrong before about things. This one, though, feels about right to me. It feels like, it's like a 3 out of 5 at best, and it's just not going to have the staying power, especially when bigger, better games come around. All right, let's talk about Senua's Saga, Hellblade 2. This was the big release of the week, and also this is probably the biggest Microsoft Xbox release as well. There's a lot. I would say that there's a lot riding on this game, especially after Redfall flopped. Starfield was above average, but still kind of average. They just, especially after all the, all the development studios closing down and layoffs happening, like they really just needed a win here. And yeah, Senua's Saga is a win. It really is. Like this is a game that's coming from a Microsoft owned studio that is definitely one that I can say, yeah, you should seek out, go play this. It's on Xbox Game Pass, and you can also purchase it on Steam, but it's not on the PlayStation yet. There's talks that it might come around the PlayStation eventually in the future, but as of right now, it is an Xbox and PC exclusive. It's got console exclusivity. But I did play it on the Game Pass, and I gotta say, like it's I'm so glad that I upgraded my computer last year. There's something to be said about playing a game that just looks beautiful, runs really well. I'm sure there were some moments when like areas were loading where I got a little bit of stutter in there, but I decided to say, I understand it's not going to be 100% perfect, But I largely, the game ran really well, and I was very excited to get into this. And it starts off with a very well done kind of tutorial-ish section, but Hellblade has never been, I guess Hellblade 1 did have a couple of tutorials in there, huh? But Hellblade 2 definitely just kind of throws you into the game. It doesn't really tell you how to play it. Even though they show you can pull up the controls anytime you want, they don't really tell you how to do things. Like they're not gonna pause the gameplay and say, hey, do a heavy attack when an enemy is blocking to break their block, or use this special ability to get an instant kill on it. And like they're not going to tell you those. They're not telling you those sort of things in this one. I almost wonder if they expect people to just come off of Hellblade 1 and go straight into Hellblade 2. I don't know. But it is actually a pretty. I mean, in terms of like HUD and games that have too busy of a HUD, like this is like the exact opposite of that. Like this is a very minimalistic HUD. I mean, honestly, I don't think there's anything HUD related. Like there's no health bar, there's no nothing like that. So it's a very immersive experience. Definitely best to play it on a big screen that really gets you into that immersive zone. And everything that you need is kind of on your screen. If you get hit, your vision will become blurrier and red. If you have enough built up to do a special attack, your little mirror will start glowing, and you'll be able to use that. It's one of those games that it strives or thrives. I don't know, whichever word. Because it's got that limited HUD, it's got that very atmospheric play style where you're sure there's a good amount of walking around, but it's also very very cinematic. It looks really good, and because there's a limited HUD to the game and no HUD at all at times, that's what really pulls it up. If there was a health bar and if there was a blah 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 a combo meter, I think that really would be a detriment to the game. And it's not like the first game had any of that stuff either. So you go into this game, you kind of know what, if you've played Hellblade 1, you kind of know what to expect for the most part. My main issues with Hellblade 1 was the combat, for sure. I felt like the combat was just like very bare bones. There was a lot of combat in there for how basic the controls were. And that ended up making me give it like a 4 out of 5. I thought it's good, but I played through it twice. I didn't really feel like I needed to do it another time. Hellblade 2 comes in, and they've revamped the combat system. Sure, there's still similarities with it, but it is a revamped combat system. You have the heavy attack, you have the light attack, you have parrying, you have dodging, you have the special attack like I was talking about where you can kind of insta-kill an enemy if you need to. And all of that combined with the new presentation of the combat, really it makes this game excel higher than the first one. Like, maybe not way higher, but definitely higher than the first one. The cinematic quality of the combat is crazy. Like you're fighting an enemy, you take him out, and then like someone gets pushed into you and they die right next to you, and then that enemy attacks you now, and then you kill that enemy, and the next one, like you're doing like a kill animation, and the guy accidentally stabs the enemy that you're that you're killing. And it's like, oh, that's kind of cool. Now you're fighting this guy, and then the next time around, there's like a woman who runs past you screaming, and you see like a spear be thrown at her, and then the enemy who was chasing her turns and faces you, and they're attacking you. And then if you have like an ally around you, like you can do like a little, it's almost like a cutscene almost, but it's very cinematic. It all works together, Then you go back to back and you fight the enemy you're fighting, then you split off. It's a very well done combat system. It just feels really good. It looks really good. Like, I think it makes up for the fact that it isn't like as in depth as maybe like your Elden Rings or your Breath of the Wilds or whatever, but it makes up for that with the fact that it is just a very flowing and I keep using the word, but cinematic experience in the combat. It makes up for some of those not really shortfallings, but just things that maybe people would get annoyed with. Because the first game, the combat was just so basic, and it happened, and it was just one of those things that I was like, what are we doing here? Like we should really be, if we're gonna be doing so much combat, like we gotta give it a little bit more balls to it, But they definitely went above and beyond to make sure that this experience felt better than the first game, and it really does. They do request that you wear headphones with the game, and I, of course, second that, as I did for the first game. You really need that 3D kind of audio experience, that surround sound kind of experience, and if you have a good setup with like a TV, then yeah, you'll be fine if you just use speakers. But it's definitely worth it to have like headphones on because they can do that. What is it called? Like bilinear 3D, whatever the 3D audio is called. Even if you don't have like the best headphones, it'll still be able to map around your ears to make it sound like there's voices all around you. Um, Now that being said, a slight criticism for this one is I feel like, and obviously this happens because the character, there's reasons. Okay, I feel like the voices talk too much. There are times when I feel like just let the game speak for itself at this moment. There were a couple times where I mean, I understand like when you're walking around like the area kind of looking at the sights, you kind of have some dialogue in your mind. But there's a couple of moments where like a character is talking to you and you just cannot hear what they're saying because the voices are echoing around you. And I get it. I get why they are doing that. But when Senua then responds to something that person is saying, it's like, why can't I hear what they're saying? If Senua can hear what they're saying, why can't I in turn hear what they're saying? Right? And it's not a big deal because, especially if you have the subtitles on, it's not a big deal. And you can't. I mean, obviously it's faint, but you can kind of hear what they're saying in between these louder voices talking to you. But the one thing that I really felt like, if you're going to have Senua respond to something that the person is saying, have the voices be a little bit quieter when they're talking. Just that's all I'm saying. That's all I ask for. And of course they could probably update the game and do whatever they need to do with it. I don't know if they will, but it's just one of those things that it's not a game breaker. It's not even something that I would necessarily say take off a point for. But it is something that I noticed a couple times throughout the experience where you actually have people that you're interacting and talking to in this game, and there are times when you are having some sort of conversation with them and you just cannot hear what they're saying, and it's like I do wish that I could more clearly hear what they're saying because Senua is responding and I just want to hear what they're saying. That's it. It brings back some of the puzzles from the first game, like finding the different symbols in the environment and unlocking a door. Obviously, it's a lot more detailed. The world's a lot more detailed this time around. There's some new stuff in there, like not really switching realities, but causing things to appear from different realities or whatever, I guess. And then also there was a couple of puzzles where you had to like collect balls and put them into a pedestal. And my favorite puzzles are the ones where you're finding the symbols in the environment because I feel like they do the most with that. With the you're kind of going around this. I mean, it's still linear, but kind of openish area, and you're finding the symbols in the environment, and I feel like that is a very strong point of both of the games. The other puzzles were fine. I didn't mind them at all. I thought they were fine. I feel like maybe, especially during the Chapter 4, it got a bit drawn out. Chapter 4 is the longest one in the game, and I really felt like there could have been some stuff trimmed from that segment to make it more in line with the other ones. And obviously not every part of the game needs to be bombastic, super huge, crazy, but there's a section of the game where you're largely inside of a cave, and it's just like the same. You're seeing the same visuals, and you're doing the same stuff over and over again. And it really felt. I mean, obviously they're trying to give you that feeling of like, oh, you're going around in circles, but it's like it just felt drawn out at that point, and that was a negative for me because instead of being like immersed in the area, I was becoming bored while playing that segment of the game, Chapter 4. And obviously everyone's going to have a different, well, maybe not everyone, but most people are going to have a different experience. So maybe maybe Chapter 4 is the most interesting part for other people. But for me personally, sort of during the middle of that chapter, I just really started to like zone out. I was running on autopilot for some of those segments. And of course, then it does drag you back in with there's a new enemy type that you face, and there's like a semi-boss fight, and it's one of those things that like, yeah, sure, it ends on a great note, but there's that middle section that's just a bit drawn out. I really felt like, yeah, we could have either done this a little bit quicker or cut out some stuff to make the experience not drag on. So that's that. That's really my only criticism for the game is that chapter, that middle section there, because the rest of the chapters are great. They flow nicely, they look great. There's variance in the visuals, especially chapter like 5 and 6. I felt like those were the two strongest chapters, with the first three being a little bit behind those, and of course chapter 4 being at the end there. But once Senua starts doing her thing that the game kind of promised from the beginning, or well, from the trailers, I guess, then that's where the game just really explodes and becomes like a really, really great experience. And I don't want to spoil anything, but yeah, the end of chapter 4, 5, and 6 are just fantastic. Like there's nothing I can really say about them that would they're just great. Just play it. Just play those, play the game and get to those chapters. That's where the game really heats up, and that's where the game really, really caught my attention. And like I said, the first 3 chapters are great. I really like the opening for chapter 1. Senua was essentially allowed herself to be captured by these slavers who are coming to her land and capturing people. And there's a terrible storm, and then she's shipwrecked, and she has to kind of work her way out of this daze, because she's been thrashed around in the water and she's very tired. And so you have all this really great, moments where you're climbing up a stone face and the voices are talking to you and you're like, you're going to die, you're going to fall, you're going to die. And it's like, okay, yeah, I get it. And then once you do pick up like a sword and stuff like that, that's where you start to get your first combat. You're fighting the guys who survived and they were the slavers and stuff like that. So there was that whole first chapter is great. The second chapter has the first puzzle where you're finding the symbols, and the visuals of that area are fantastic that you're searching in. Very gruesome too. Like this game definitely goes above and beyond, kind of Resident Evil kind of levels where it's like, this is the type of gore we're seeing. This is crazy. And then you start to get like there's actually a good variety of enemies in the game. There's great variety in locations and vistas that you see. There's actually good variety in like characters. It's not just Senua and the voices. It's a lot of different characters in there interacting and mingling together, which is nice. It's nice to see Senua actually interacting with other characters rather than just being with by herself. So there's another aspect of the character that you get to see. Obviously, the performances are all fantastic in the game. The motion capture, and the animations are fantastic. There are moments where it feels like you're looking at the person who portrays Senua. It feels like you're actually looking at her, and it's so crazy. It's crazy, and this is the type of stuff that you kind of want to see from a multi-billion-dollar company. You want to see these types of experiences where they push the boundaries of what's a game. They push the boundaries of visual design and all the motion capture technology. They push it. They don't become complicit. They push it. And this is, Ninja Theory is obviously gone above and beyond, more so than the other Microsoft studios at this time. And at this point, if they're not already a household name, they are like a household name now with Senua Saga. They did have a weird dip where they did that Bleeding Edge game, which was like a multiplayer hero shooter or whatever. I don't know where that came from. They should have been working on Hellblade 2 from the get-go after Hellblade 1, but, whatever. So, yeah, I did finish Hellblade 2. It's not a long playthrough. It's about 6 or 7 hours, depending. If you want to find all the collectibles and stuff, obviously it's going to take a little bit longer. Usually on my first playthrough of a game, I'm just enjoying the story. I'm not looking for the collectibles per se, but if I do stumble upon them, there are like 2 different types of collectibles. One is kind of similar to the first game, where you find like a totem pole and it kind of tells you a little story, which is really nice. The voice acting is great there for those two. And then the other one is really cool. They hide these like faces in the rocks or in the landscapes, and you need to zoom in on them, focus in on them, and they unlock a little path for you to get like I don't know if it's like a health boost or whatever, but it's a little green gem that appears on like a little tree, and there's like 20 of those. There's like 20 of each, I think. So I do like that aspect too. It does allow you to explore a little bit, see what you're doing. I did run into the problem where like I found one and then I like missed 3 in a row, and then I found 3 in a row, and then I missed 3, and I'm like, wow, I haven't been playing for that long. How did I miss like 3 of these things? It's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I feel like I felt like I was. I mean, I wasn't like combing the desert, to find everything, but I felt like I had a genuinely good idea of where something is going to be or when they're going to hide something. And yeah, I guess I just missed a bunch of stuff there. So definitely worth a second playthrough though, especially because at the end of the game they unlock something for you. And I'm not going to reveal what it is, just in case you haven't played it, but it's a pretty nice feature, especially after going through the entire campaign. So if you want to, finish it up and see what that is, there you go. So yeah, pretty much that's all I really have to say about Senua's Saga at this point. I ended up giving it a 4.5 out of 5. I think it's great. Like I said before, there's just that one segment where I felt like it was a bit too drawn out. But other than that, it's a fantastic experience that I think everyone should play at this point. Yeah, it's great. It is really great. If you have Xbox Game Pass, it's on there at no extra charge. If you want to check it out, like I said, there's a Steam version and there's an Xbox version. And maybe in the future there will be a PlayStation version. The original game was PlayStation exclusive for a while. I think it was exclusive for like a year or so. So maybe Hellblade 2, in line with its other game, its predecessor, it'll come to PlayStation. All right. Duck Detective: The Secret Salami. It's a game that came out, I think, on the same day as Hellblade 2. And this is a cute little detective game where you play as a duck, and you're trying to solve the case of this person's lunch being stolen at a like a bus call center or whatever. And of course, it's more than meets the eye. There's a little bit of a twist in there, and blah blah blah. Has similar graphics to like a Paper Mario style game where the characters are like cut out of paper and they're static character images for the most part, which is a fun style. I don't mind that at all. And it does a good job with the style too. I had like an average time with the game. I thought it was decent enough. It was cute, it had some fun moments. But I think that it needed to go a little bit farther with like the detective work. It starts off really strong, with like the first like half of the game, but then once you meet all the characters, once you get like every room unlocked and stuff like that, there's really not much more detective work to do other than like talking to a couple more people and then piecing together the clues you already received. So it is one of those things where it's like, I do wish that the detective work was a bit more involved. I especially in that later half of the game where it just feels like you're kind of like going through the motions at that point, because you don't really need to find anything else out. You already have everything that you need. So, but it's a quirky kind of game. It's got its moments for sure. I think it's like $10 or $5 or $10, so it's not even that bad of a price tag for it either. But it is a little short, in terms of just like I was hoping for a bit of a grander narrative or something else, especially after the twist happens. I was really hoping for something more. In the end, I gave it a 3.5. I thought it was, fine. I guess a little bit more than fine, since I gave it a 3.5, but still, I had my time with it, and not much else to say about it. And finally, for new games, Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door remake, remaster, whatever you want to call it, came out. I highly recommend getting this, not just because it'll show Nintendo what style Paper Mario game people want, but because it's actually a really nice remaster of an old GameCube game. The visuals are sharp, they're clean. The game is largely intact from what it was, so like you're not gonna, it's not like you're gonna have a completely different experience if you played the original Thousand Year Door game. But this is a classic Nintendo game. It's a classic Paper Mario game. It's one that everyone knows about, even if you haven't played it. You know about Thousand Year Door. It's a staple of Nintendo's catalog for many, many years, since the GameCube era. And this version of the game is really good. It's got some nice quality of life features built in. In general, it's got that same quirkiness. It's got the great battle system. All that is pristine, really well done. So I don't have anything new to say about it that I haven't said about it in the past when we originally played the Thousand Year Door, because it is pretty much the same game. But just know that the visuals look great. The game is pretty much the same from what you expect, but it does have some quality of life features that are really nice in there. And yeah, I mean, what else can you say about Thousand Year Door that hasn't been said already? Just a really nice experience, and I definitely look forward to playing much more of it in the future. I just wanted to kind of get a general feel for the game, see how it played, and yeah, feels pretty good. Even with the Switch controller, it feels pretty good. I was using a Pro controller, so I feel like the Pro controller is kind of comparable in terms of, I guess, in some ways to the GameCube controller, I suppose, but I definitely didn't feel as good when using the Joy-Cons, so I did switch over to my Pro controllers, which I usually do use a Pro controller. I don't even know why I was using the Joy-Con. Maybe because I was trying to, like, what if I'm playing this in handheld? Will I enjoy the experience? You'll still enjoy the experience. I just feel like the Joy-Cons are a little bit lesser in terms of, like, a controller as compared to the Pro controllers. Is that I don't think that's controversial to say at all, but that's just that. Okay. Let's move on to some games that I've been playing that are not new. I was playing a bit of Helldivers 2, and I'll be talking about this in a little bit, but there is something going on with this game where every single time I play the game, I'm getting a new glitch or a new error or whatever. Yesterday or the day before, it was all of my stratagems were question marks. And before that, it was my character's camera was locked into the map, like I could see under the map, but I was moving around. Very strange stuff. But I'll talk more about Helldivers 2 later. I have been playing way more Battlefield 2042. My goal at this point is just to get max level, but I've been having a really fun time with it. The player base is actually still pretty strong on it. I mean, there are some game modes where you have the AI characters in there, but I feel like for the most part I'm getting full lobbies, which is nice. And I mean, I talked about it last week, but the game feels pretty good. They definitely improved the game. I feel like the game has seen a 180 from its original release. The problem is they're still selling it for $70, which is egregious at this point. I feel like if they want to get more players and more eyes on this game, they gotta either go to a free-to-play model or switch to free-to-play, or like sell it for like $20. I feel like $20 is a great price tag for something like this, but whatever. On stream, we've finished Lego Star Wars: The Complete Saga. This is the game that came out before the Skywalker Saga. So you have the prequels and the original trilogy. It's still a great time. I mean, some of the levels don't hold up as well as others. Like, there's a couple levels in the New Hope segment that just really aren't that great. But for the most part, I felt like Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi 2, I mean, there's like, 6 levels for each of those. Really great level designs in those two in those two movies. In the prequels, I felt like the Phantom Menace had like a half and half situation where like half the levels were really good, half the levels were kind of mediocre. Attack of the Clones, despite how much I don't like that movie, the levels are pretty fun for that one. And then Revenge of the Sith obviously is the best of the prequels, and it has the best levels. So no, that's nothing. That's no surprise, obviously. And then going through and finding all the stuff is pretty fun in the game. It's nothing new to say that the Lego Star Wars Complete Saga is a great experience, very nostalgic filled, but even with that nostalgia, like I said, there's some things that do bug me about the game a little bit, but for the most part, it's a great time. I gave it a B tier in the end. And then we finished Madagascar on the GameCube. I originally played this on the PS2 back during November last year for Bunger Month, where people get to pick whatever game from my backlog for me to play. And the disc that I had for Madagascar on PS2 was bad, so we didn't get to finish it. So I ended up having a GameCube version for whatever reason, and we played through that, and it's a game. It's like C tier. It's like, it has some good ideas mixed in there, but for the most part, they kind of fumble it. The platforming doesn't feel great. The combat doesn't feel great, but there are some sections where you switch between the characters. Alex the lion, Marty the zebra, Melman the giraffe and Gloria the hippo, and you switch between them kind of like you do in like Donkey Kong 64 on a smaller scale, of course. And that was great, but it's only 2 levels that you do that. And that was a little bit disappointing because I felt like if they had just done this character swapping mechanic throughout the entire game, that would have been a really cool experience. But instead, it kind of lands at a C tier. It's not amazing, it's not great, but it's also not like terrible, it's not unplayable. So a C tier is I feel like is the best spot for that game. Okay, let's go ahead and boom bada bing, head over to the next part of the show, which is what's in the news. Okay, Devolver Digital's E3-ish kind of showcase has been announced. They kind of do one of these every year. Last year it was a celebration of Volvi, and this year it's Volvi's 15th birthday party. So this live stream is going to be a short but sweet opportunity to gather around your loved ones and celebrate gaming's favorite mascot without anything weird happening. It's going to be a totally normal live stream, as we all know from Devolver Digital's past. This will be happening on June 7th at 5 p.m. Pacific time. It's a Devolver Direct, so we can expect to see at least like 4 or 5 games in there at this point. Last year I was a bit disappointed because there was only they only showed off like 4 games, but I mean, they weren't like crazy new things to show off. It was a lot of like, oh, we knew about this, we knew about this, we knew about this. At this point, I feel like we're probably going to see the Plucky Squire, Baby Steps, Angerfoot at least. Maybe they'll have a new announcement in there, maybe, but I guess we'll have to wait and see on that one. With the Plucky Squire, finally, I believe it has a release date now, right? I feel like it's a shoo-in that we'll see that. Baby Steps is like the biggest game coming to or from Devolver Digital right now, because it's made by the same guy who made Getting Over It, and it's like a PlayStation has also like had features of it on their like PlayStation Direct, so I feel like easily we could see that as well. So this is actually taking place 3 hours after the main Summer Games Fest showcase, which is hosted by Jeff Keighley on June 7th around, I don't remember what time that's going to be, but so apparently, so it's going to take place after that event. So I guess stick around. Well, I guess not stick around, but head over to Devolver Digital after that and see what they got, because Devolver Digital, I mean, obviously they're one of my favorite publishers out there right now. They definitely tend to publish the weird and wonderful games that eventually become favorites of mine. But I'm definitely excited about that. We'll see what's coming around in the near future. Okay, Neil Druckmann was talking in an interview with, I guess, a Sony interviewer, and he was talking about the future of gaming and the future of Naughty Dog, and he was talking about how the next The Last of Us game is going to be the best one ever, and blah 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 blah. He also mentioned some things about AI, saying that it's going to revolutionize the gaming development community and push the boundaries of storytelling in games. And it was a bit of a weird thing for him to say, because a lot of the best stories, actually all the best stories, come from human people. You get if you've read anything by like an AI, written by an AI, or inspired by an AI, AI inspired by something else, it always just doesn't feel great. It doesn't work, right? So it is very strange for him to say something like that, where it's like, oh, it's going to help revolutionize storytelling. I don't know. Maybe he's speaking more so of like the animation process, character animations and stuff like that. I don't really know. There's an entire article on the subject matter, and the interview is, of course, available to check out on PlayStation's blog. I've always been in the camp of AI in certain instances is nice. It's nice as a tool to help you get where you need to go. I don't think that AI should be designing an entire video game or writing an entire story or blah blah blah. There still needs to be that human touch that allows it to just help you, right? It can be a really nice tool for, maybe storyboarding or helping with some concept art. Like you type in like, Uncharted Nathan Drake in Panama, at the Panama Canal overlooking ship dock or whatever, like, and it will come up with something, and you can use that as like a template. But that's the thing; it needs to be a template. It needs to be something that helps you, not something that just takes over the process. We cannot be replacing people with AI technology, even though it's cheaper, it's faster, it's whatever. You need that human touch in there because the greatest games and the greatest stories and the greatest movies and the greatest TV shows are all done with the hands of humans. And whenever AI touches things and it takes a more major role, you see it with the review scores and the reviews happening by people in all the different medias. It definitely is not there, and I don't think I don't think it should ever really get to that point where it can replace an entire group of people. I don't feel like it really should be, doing that. Um, he also talked about how one person at home can make a game now, and it's easier with AI, and I guess that's true. But once again, you shouldn't be allowing the AI to make an entire game. It should really just be like a helping tool. Now, I guess I would say that the whole revolutionizing development with AI and pushing boundaries of storytelling, he might have been misquoted when he was talking to the PlayStation representative who was interviewing him. In a follow-up tweet, he says that this is not quite what I said. Here's a short thread about what he actually said. So, in a post after that, he said, "In editing my rambling answers in my recent interview with Sony, some of my words, context, and intent were unfortunately lost. Here's the full, long, rambling answer he gave to the question about the future of games." And I guess this is kind of important for me to read through, maybe not in its entirety because it is a very long post. But essentially, the interviewer says, "Thank you. When I think about this question, I couldn't really obviously think of an answer. Like, I mean, there are all these technologies out there, but I couldn't really imagine, like, what the future can be." And Neil Druckmann says, "Well, I've been very lucky in that I've already had that in terms of personal vision in a dream project." I guess I should have read the entire question. "I got the chance to make several of my dream projects. I am working on one right now, and it's maybe the most excited I've been for a project yet. I can't talk about it or our bosses will be mad at me. And I guess in general, there is something happening now that I think is very cool, which is there's a new appreciation for gaming and I've never seen before. Like when I was growing up, gaming was more of a kid's thing. Now it's clearly for everyone. But it's like if you're a gamer, you know about the potential of games, and non-gamers, they don't really know what they're missing out on. But my hope was, when we made the Last of Us TV show, that we would change that. And why I became so involved with it, I wanted so badly for it to be good because I wanted this to happen, which is like someone who will watch the show will really like it and fall in love with those characters in the way that they have fallen in love with those characters in the video game version, and then realize in the end, oh, it's based on a video game, and then go back and check out the game because of the wealth of narrative and everything that's happening in the games. So now I feel like there's a kind of a spotlight on gaming, and Fallout just came out, and that's a big success for Amazon, and I find it really exciting, not because games need to be movies or that they need to be TV shows, but it just kind of opens your eyes to a bunch of people to have that experience. I think right now we've hit a tipping point where it's about to take off, where people realize, oh my god, there's all these incredible moving experience in games. So I'm not only excited for this game that we're making, and it's something really fresh for us, but I'm also excited to see how the world reacts to it, because The Last of Us and the success of the show, people even outside of gaming are looking at us to see what we are going to put out next. I'm very excited to see what the reaction for this will be, and I've already said too much about it, and I'll stop there. So if you're asking me for my dream project, I've been very lucky to have worked with my favorite games with incredible collaborators, and I'm very thankful for them. So why did I read this entire answer to this question? Because this is actually the question where he was misquoted. In the original thing, it says he's eager to see how the game resonates, especially following the success of Last of Us, and it could redefine mainstream perceptions of gaming. And he was, I guess they misquoted him because that has nothing. There was nothing even mentioned about AI in the entire answer that he gave to the question. So it's weird. It's weird. I don't know how. I mean, I guess maybe through language barrier. I don't know how he was so misquoted. It's also possible that he did say that, but he has edited his response. Yeah, I don't know why Sony would change the wording, mince words. I mean, obviously they would need to condense this entire response by Neil Druckmann into a shorter, bite-sized piece. But you can't be adding in these things that he didn't say or didn't specifically mention, like AI and it revolutionizing the gaming industry with The Last of Us, the next Last of Us game, and storytelling. Like, you can't do that. It's kind of weird. Say what you want about Neil Druckmann. I know he's been a bit of a head of controversy at this point, in terms of not just the gaming universe, but other places as well. I don't know what to think about this. I really don't. But you have the information there if you want to check it out. You can form your own opinion. I really don't have an opinion on this right now. I have my opinions on AI, of course, but as of what Neil Druckmann said, I really don't have anything to say more about that. Continuing with the Sony stuff, Stellar Blade has updated its game and added even more revealing outfits for Eve, the main character of the game. Now, this comes out after a lot of debate about quote-unquote censorship in the game and how Sony forced them to change the game and change the costumes to be less revealing, even though there are still in the base game plenty of revealing outfits for the main character. Very quietly, they also added 2 new, very revealing suits for the. I guess you can purchase them from Roxanne at the Xeon whatever. And both of these outfits are extremely revealing, almost more revealing than any other outfit in the game, minus the practically naked version of the character. The one is the Midsummer Alice, where it's a white and blue kind of outfit. Most of her body is completely shown off. There's a strip of cloth for her genital area. It also looks like she's wearing a corset. It's kind of like a corset type thing. And then covering her bosom is essentially like this string attached kind of bra type thing that shows a lot of cleavage. The other outfit is the Midsummer Red Hood, which is about the same thing, except instead of it being like a corset or whatever held together by strings, it's like a hoodie that's been unzipped so you can see her cleavage, and then it's a very tight fitting kind of hoodie thing that goes down like I was talking about before, showing off all the leg, all the buttocks, all that stuff. I'm trying not to be too vulgar here. They also added other outfits as well in this update that are more in the forefront for beating the boss rush mode and stuff like that, they're nice looking outfits. They're not like super sexy, I guess. But if you're not convinced that they are doing their own thing and Sony has no input on the outfit design and quote unquote they're not censoring this game, I mean, is this not enough for you yet? Like, they're adding in these outfits that are way more revealing than anything else that's in the game, and yet I'm sure there's still people who are convinced that Sony is forcing them to change the outfits and censor them. I just don't get it. If you don't believe the developer, the head of development, if you don't believe me, if you don't believe PlayStation, if you don't believe these updates and the fact that they are way more revealing and way more erotic than the original game's outfits, I don't know what to tell you other than you might need to go to some therapy. But yeah, that's all I gotta say about that. Let's move on. Nintendo has acquired Shiver Entertainment, best known for porting games over to the Nintendo Switch, like the Need for Speed games, Scribblenauts, FIFA, Mortal Kombat 1 most recently, and Hogwarts Legacy as well. The Mortal Kombat 1 port was not as good as the Hogwarts Legacy one, but still, it's whatever. They also apparently ported over some games back in the day, like Guitar Hero and the older FIFA games, so they do have a lot of history with Nintendo and porting games over to Nintendo's consoles. In a statement by Nintendo, it said it would acquire 100% of the outstanding shares of Shiver. By welcoming Shiver's experienced and accomplished development team, Nintendo aims to secure high-level resources for porting and developing software titles. Going forward, even after it becomes a part of the Nintendo Group, Shiver's focus will remain the same, continuing commissions that port and develop software for multiple platforms, including Nintendo Switch. The acquisition will be completed pending satisfaction of all relevant customary closing conditions. So it seems like they liked the work that Nintendo had done. I'm sorry, they liked the work that Shiver had done. Nintendo liked the work that Shiver had done so much they decided to just buy them and say, "Hey, welcome to the team. You are the official porters for Nintendo." You know, I'm sure nothing will really change in the long run at this point, but maybe they're hiring them too to port over some older games. Like obviously, there's a lot of games from the past couple like console cycles that we haven't seen on the Switch. I mean, the Wii could easily have a lot of games ported over. The Wii U already has had a lot of games ported over, but there's still stuff missing. Think about like 3DS titles, DS titles, games that aren't on the Nintendo service that could possibly come to the Nintendo service in the future. It's, I mean, it's kind of the what am I trying to say? It's a very famous expression. The possibilities are endless at this point, but it's Nintendo. We'll see what they do with it. Also in Nintendo news, they announced that there is going to be a new Nintendo store in the United States of America. This time they are opening a store in San Francisco, specifically Union Square. They said that it was a teeming commercial hub of the city, and they wanted to put a store in there for obvious reasons. So in a statement from Nintendo, they said, Nintendo of America today announced plans to open an official store in San Francisco, providing a way for a wide range of visitors from near and far to experience the world of Nintendo, its products and characters. The store, called Nintendo San Francisco, will open in 2025 as a second official location in the U.S., joining the store in New York City, which is pretty nice. That's one on each side of the U.S., and I think that it's a good idea to do, and we'll see how that goes in the future. All right, the next Call of Duty game has officially been unveiled by the official Call of Duty account, and it is going to be called Call of Duty Black Ops 6. So instead of doing what I thought they were going to do and keeping the Black Ops series as like Cold War and other, other titles like that, they decided to go back to the numbering system, which is a little bit confusing, seeing as Black Ops Cold War is the 5th game, but it's not called Black Ops 5. I'm sorry, Black Ops... You know what I meant. It's not called Black Ops 5, but it is Black Ops 5, but it's not called Black Ops 5. And now we're going back to the numbering system. It's just kind of weird. It's just kind of weird how they're doing this. We don't have any idea of when the game is going to come out. It's obviously going to come out sometime this year because it's a yearly release type thing, even though they claimed like, oh yeah, we're going to be taking a year off or whatever. I don't think that's going to happen, especially with Microsoft needing the money. So at this point, I'm guessing it's probably going to be the normal time around November, maybe even October. They've been doing it a little bit earlier than usual, and we'll probably get some more information on that during like the Xbox showcase that's coming around soon. So Black Ops 6 is the official name of the game. And there's actually going to be a full... I didn't see that. There's going to be a full reveal at the Xbox showcase on June 9th. So we'll see a full reveal for the game then. All right, From Software, following the success of their latest game, oh no, not Elden Ring, but Armored Core 6, have said that they definitely want to keep the series going. There's a strong love and affinity for the series inside the development studio, and there's also the love and affinity for the game outside the studio as well, as a lot of people really enjoyed, me myself included, really enjoyed Armored Core 6, Fires of Rubicon. It sold 2.8 million copies last year. I'm sure that number will go up as there's sales and stuff like that. And I think it's the best-selling game in the series. That's also pretty good as well. There's still room for improvement, they said, claiming that not everything is perfect, but they have no intention of stopping there. So I'm guessing they're going to start working on another Armored Core game here soon after the Shadows of the Erdtree DLC is released for Elden Ring. I think that it's a really good idea for them to keep the series going. It's obviously much different from what they usually do with the more melee-focused, kind of medieval-themed Souls-like stuff that they do with the Dark Souls series and stuff like that. And the last game, it kind of married their styles together with it being still an Armored Core game, but also feeling a little bit more Souls-like in the end. It's pretty brutal and challenging, but that's kind of that's kind of how Armored Core is. And the idea, the one thing that I really loved about the game was being able to just change up your build on the fly. You don't have to respec. You don't have to, grind for more souls or anything like that. You can just boom bada bing, either replay a level and get some money or retool your entire build and go jump right back in. It's very nice, and I feel like they can definitely improve on the game in the future, but I mean, I was already really happy with the game by the time I was finished with it. So I don't know if they really need to improve that much, but it'll be interesting to see what they do with the series moving forward. Dave the Diver, the new Godzilla DLC. I don't know if this is new or not, or maybe I didn't realize it, but the DLC for Godzilla is going to be delisted later this year on November 23rd. It's free right now. You can download it, and you can play it right now for free. But if you don't download it by the time in November, the 23rd of November, you will not be able to purchase it or play it. I'm sorry, not play it, but you won't be able to download it if you haven't already added it to your library. So if you own Dave the Diver and you've been waiting for whatever reason, or if you just haven't booted up the game in a while, it would be a really good idea to just go and add it to your library, add this DLC to your library, just so you have it for the future. For whatever reason, they're not going to allow it to be downloaded or whatever after the distribution period. So there's a bit of FOMO going on here as well. This is kind of a first from what I remember of a DLC being such a limited release. It's I can't remember, at least in the more recent times of this happening. It's pretty crazy, and maybe it's because the IP holders, they don't want it to be available forever. I don't know why they wouldn't, but yeah, I don't really know. But the new Godzilla themed missions are looking pretty cool. They take place after Chapter 5 in the game, if that means anything to you. Yeah, once again, if you have the game, you should add the DLC to your system or to your library before it's gone forever. If you already have it in your library and you deleted it, you'll still be able to download it again after the expiration date, but you need to have it in your library. You need to at least have it redeemed. Boom, bada bing. All right, I kind of hinted at this earlier in the episode. Helldivers 2, the developers at Arrowhead Studios are concerned that they're updating the game too much. And yeah, I would probably say yes. The game does seem to get a lot of updates right now, and they're not always the best updates. There's balancing issues. There's, of course, in the introduction of multiple new glitches for me to find. And they said that they are going to start stepping back and working longer on updates. In a press release, they said, "We want to take some more time for the most recent patch and potentially between future patches, since we feel cadence has probably been a bit too high to be able to maintain the quality standard we want and you deserve." I do feel like at this point the updates aren't really helping the game; they're more so breaking the game. I don't know why they're not testing these patches more before launch, but it does seem like more things are breaking as we move forward. I'm pretty close to finishing up the first tier whatever the base requisitions tier is for the game, and I at this point I feel like after I do that, I probably won't be playing the game too much more after that. It's just been a bit of a downhill journey since probably about a month ago now. I started feeling that the game was just losing its quality, and it was just starting to become not as good as it was. So at this point, that's kind of where I'm at with the game. I'll still play it here and there, but it's not going to be a game that I'm playing it every day anymore, and I really haven't been playing it every day for about a month now. So it's unfortunate, but this is where we're at. Hunt, the Showdown, is ending support for the PS4 and the Xbox One. It'll only be supporting the next-gen consoles, including the PS5, Steam, and Xbox Series X and S. So starting on the 15th of August, the title will only be playable on the PS5 and the Xbox Series S and X along with Steam, which is pretty crazy. If you own the game on the PS4 or the Xbox One, that version will actually
stop working. There is a free upgrade path for any version of the game to the next gen offering. It'll offer graphical and performance updates as you would expect. Um, yeah, so to the people who are playing this on PS4 and only have a PS4, it's gonna be a bit of an annoyance for sure. Um, I don't know why they're ending support though. I feel like a game like this, you can kind of just keep it running. Like you can at least have the servers up and able to go. But if they're just shutting the game down in general, it does seem a bit weird, in my opinion. The PS4 and the I mean, maybe not the Xbox One, but the PS4 definitely has a large player base, and they're abandoning a lot of people. Now it's possible that we just don't. I mean, I don't have the numbers for this game on the PlayStation 4, so it's possible that the numbers are in a low enough spot where they feel like it's justified to remove it. But I don't have those numbers, so I can just speculate. But yeah, unfortunate for the people who are playing on PS4 and Xbox One, but the times they are a changing. PlayStation London studio is closing down. I guess they're closing down amicably, I suppose. I don't know how amicably you can actually close down in a situation like this, but they confirmed in February that the studio was going to be closed, and now they are officially closing down the studio. In a Twitter post, they said, for over 20 years, London Studio has been home to some exceptionally talented and wonderful people in the games industry. As we close our doors and all go forward to new adventures, we wanted to say a heartfelt thank you to all our past and present players, colleagues, and those who have supported us over the years. We've had one wild and wonderful journey. This is a studio that I thought would be really into the PlayStation VR 2 and developing stuff for the PSVR 2, but unfortunately, they have closed down before they could do anything on that system. They were big in the iToy era, both on the PS2 and the PS3, and they also made some stuff for the PlayStation VR 1, including PSVR Worlds and a game called Blood and Truth, which was a pretty high seller back when the PSVR 1 first came out. Of course, they have other things in their repertoire as well. They've been around since 2002, so they've had quite the tenure. But I would say their output drastically slowed down after the PS2 and PS3 era. Yeah, it's unfortunate. And I understand the gaming landscape changes and moves on, and maybe PlayStation just didn't see a reason to keep the studio alive, since a lot of what they worked on in their portfolio just isn't around anymore or not popular anymore. But yeah, I was really hoping that they would put them on like a PSVR 2 thing, because they have some tenure in that play space. But I guess Sony didn't see a reason to keep them around. So there you go. All right, let's move on to the final section of the show, which is what's coming soon. All right, a new Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree story trailer came out. It's about as ambiguous as you expect from a From Software Dark Souls-like kind of game. I don't believe this one was co-written by George R.R. Martin. This one's just From Software. They've revealed a couple of nice cinematic stuff to the game, to the trailer as well. I'm sure a lot of this is probably the opening cutscene that you would see when you boot up the DLC or something like that. There's really still no information on if there's going to be a special way to get into the DLC, like you need to be past this certain point, or you need to, have, be on, end game or something. It didn't really say what needs to be happen. I'm guessing a lot of people are guessing that the visual of Moog's arena in the first reveal trailer kind of tells you, like, okay, you're going to be going through the DLC after you beat Moog, which is probably a pretty good place to start for this. In the cinematic trailer, a lot of cool stuff happening. Like these giant burning giants made of wood are burning the landscape. Seems like they also maybe showed off a couple of boss designs in the game, which also are looking pretty good too. Once again, the story itself, pretty convoluted stuff, not really straightforward as most people would like. But that's kind of par for the course with your From Software games at this point. It looks like it's going to be really good. I know that $40 is a pretty big ask for a DLC in particular, but it looks like it's going to be more than just like a DLC. It's going to, it's got this whole new area. It's got a whole new slew of bosses and enemies to fight. One of the enemies looking kind of like a Bloodborne boss, not boss, but enemy type, that big brain eyeball thing that would cause frenzy. Seems like they're maybe going to be bringing that back. It looks like also the Sights of Grace are a little bit different. They kind of remind me of like a banner or whatever. So I'm guessing they're definitely changing that up, I suppose. DLC is going to be officially available on June 21st, so it's not too far away at this point, under a month now. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a pretty nice DLC. The trailer itself, really nice looking. Obviously, they didn't show any like gameplay or anything like that. I don't think we're going to be getting that until a little bit closer to the launch of the DLC. But at this point, looks pretty good. I'm very excited to see what they have to offer. I have not been back to the game in probably about a year at this point, and I'm on my New Game Plus run. So I think what I'll try and do before the DLC comes out is get to that point where I can say like, okay, I think I'm far enough through the game to, just kind of open the DLC up. I'm sure that I can. I mean, I have a pretty good build going. I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I'm pretty sure I can practically one-shot or two-shot most of the bosses in the early game, and then, get my work my way through some of the more healthier bosses. But yeah, if it truly is Moog's Arena that you need to get to and beat, I don't think I'm too far away from that in my New Game Plus run. But you can also load up your old save too, so it's not like you're stuck if you are in a New Game Plus early on. But yeah, there you go. Multiverses has revealed its Battle Pass for its new season of content when it does eventually launch on May 28th, which is not too far away at this point. And the Season 1 pass will actually be available for free if you owned or if you played the beta version of the game. If you played the open beta version, you'll be able to get the first season for completely free as long as you log in before the 11th of June. It also was recently announced that Jason Voorhees of Friday the 13th fame would be the first reward in the Battle Pass. So this means that you will be able to unlock this character completely for free as long as you, once again, boot up the game before June 11th. Returning players will also get the Snowsuit Finn commemorative costume, a Rising Stars ring out, and a Banana Guard announcer pad. But that's not all. If you complete the new tutorial, you'll trigger a 7-day reward calendar, which will conclude with a free Banana Guard unlock. And you also get the Lady Banana Guard outfit. They haven't revealed everything inside of the Battle Pass just yet, but it's the stuff you kind of would expect to see in a Battle Pass. They also have new in-game currency. So oh my gosh, there's 4 in-game currencies. So you have the perk. You use this to unlock in-game perks. You gain these through events, rifts, mode gameplay, battle pass, and account mastery or character mastery. The fighter thing, the fighter currency, you use this to unlock characters. You gain this through the same stuff. Prestige. You use this to unlock prestige cosmetics, and you acquire this through how to gain through cosmetics. Okay. And then Gleamium, which is from the original game, you use this to unlock cosmetics, emotes, and battle pass stuff, and you gain this through events, battle pass, or direct purchase of the item. The gold currency was in the original game along with the Gleamium, I'm pretty sure. Which I don't understand why they need more currencies in this game. I mean, I know it's free to play, but 4 different currencies for 4 different things. Yeah. I guess we'll see how it all works out when the game launches in a couple days, or, well, actually probably by the time you're listening to this, it's probably already available. But Jason Voorhees was the big new addition to the game. He's got like this really cartoonish kind of design where his upper body's larger than his lower body, and also his head's like really small as well. But I'm sure it'll be a fun fighter to use. All right, Black Myth Wukong got a new trailer, and they announced the release date for the game. It's very close. It's August 20th. It's coming to the PS5, and I believe it's coming to Steam as well. I'm not sure about Xbox at this point. But the trailer itself was really good looking. This is a game that's kind of been on my mind for a little while now. It's it's a very interesting looking game. I will say that. You play as like this kind of monkey man, and you're going up against all these mythological creatures, and yeah, it looks like it's gonna be really interesting. I am very excited to try it out and play it. And like I said, it's coming out August 20th. If you want to check that out, if you want to check out the trailer, IGN has it uploaded to their YouTube channel. Sushi Ben is a game coming to the PSVR 2, and it's coming on the same day as Multiverses, May 28th. So this is a game where you play as Ben, and yeah, it's kind of like an anime aesthetic kind of thing. It's got like cartoony-ish graphics, of course, but it's kind of like got that anime style to it. You take pictures of animals, you do some rhythm-based gameplay. There's a whole bunch of different gameplay elements in there. It's hard to really, nail down exactly what this game is, but it seems like a lot of the game is just like a very over, very bombastic and like over crazy. I don't know how. It's a very crazy looking game. It's actually written by the same person who did Hatoful Boyfriend, which I've never played, but Greedy Waffles gifted it to me a very long time ago. It's on my my list of games to play. So. But your task is to prevent a local sushi bar from going out of business. So you need to assist the local townsfolk in a variety of activities to help cultivate trade. You'll do some fishing. You'll go on some ghost hunts, etc., etc. So looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, not too bad. I do like the graphic style. I know that the VR games have been improving in their visual quality since the PSVR 1, but they decided to go with a more cartoony look, which I think will work with this game. The star named Eos. I'm pretty sure this was already released on Steam or something. I don't remember. Maybe not. But this is a point-and-click kind of adventure game where you go through pictures, and it's kind of like an I Spy thing at times too. But there's puzzles to do as well. You can also take pictures as well. And essentially the game is kind of like that, where you're playing as a person named Day or D-A-D, Day. You explore various settings as you follow in the footsteps of his mother. It's voiced, the English voicing is by the same person who plays Yuffie in Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth, Susie Young. You'll spend your time recreating photographs and solving puzzles in order to piece together the narrative for the game. So, seems like it's going to be a cozy adventure. I guess we'll find out when the game comes out. All right, Care Bears fans unite! A new Care. Actually, I feel like this is like the first Care Bears game ever. I don't remember another one ever being out, but a game called Care Bears to the Rescue is coming out, and it's a new 2D platformer. Yeah, it's a Care Bears game, so it's probably going to be more. So it's obviously going to be geared towards the younger audience, but you can play as multiple different Care Bears who have some unique abilities. You'll be flying planes, you'll be jumping off of things, you'll be sucking enemies up with your love bellies. Yeah, it's coming in 2024 to pretty much every current platform. I cannot believe that I'm talking about a Care Bears game in this day and age, especially because I haven't really heard anything about Care Bears for quite some time, but there's apparently going to be 30-ish levels with 5 nostalgic worlds. So there you go. You'll be able to rescue people. You'll be able to play to the rescue with up to 4 people in local co-op mode. All right, the next Madden game has been announced, and I believe it was announced last week, but I didn't realize it because obviously I was more excited about College Football 25. But yes, the next Madden game is going to be called Madden NFL 25, the same name as the game that came out for the 25th anniversary of the series. So websites and metadata be damned. And it's actually called the same exact thing, NFL 25. I was hoping that they would call this one Madden NFL 14 because the other one was called 25, but whatever. Yeah, essentially they announced this along the side the deluxe edition of EA Sports College Football 25, where you can get the MVP bundle, which will include Madden 25 as bundled in as another game. And essentially why they're doing this, thanks to Gritty Waffles for telling me, essentially you can take a character that you make in the story mode or whatever it's called, the franchise mode for College Football 25, and take them into Madden 25 through the draft and into the NFL. So, which is a pretty cool idea. I knew that this was going to happen all the way back in the day. I didn't run a podcast back in the day, but I knew when Madden 25 was announced that they were going to just make another game called Madden 25 in the year 2025, and here we are. The prophecy has been fulfilled. Killer Clowns from Outer Space, the game, has some gameplay on the PlayStation YouTube channel. Essentially, it's unedited, just gameplay of the game for about 3 minutes. It looks fine. The one thing about this game that is unique to most of the horror games that are coming out nowadays is you can actually fight back against the clowns, and actually your goal seems to be to either beat the clowns into submission and save your friends who are stuck in the cotton candy wads, or as the clowns, of course, you want to capture all the teens or whoever they are, the characters in the cotton candy balls, and then once you have them all, you suck the blood out of their bodies. So there's a lot of offensive stuff for both the sides, which is pretty cool. And it seems like it's got the same three hit rule as like Dead by Daylight, where you hit the clown 3 times and then they die, or you get hit by the cotton candy ray 3 times and you get turned into a cotton candy ball. Which is interesting, I suppose. In the movie, all you gotta do is remove the nose from a clown and they die. I don't think that's how it works in this game, but I obviously don't know exactly since I haven't played the game myself. The game is still slated to come out sometime this year. I forget exactly when. May 28th. Pre-order. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. Early access begins for pre-orders May 28th, so you can play it soon. The official game will release on June 4th. So there you go. Grapple Dogs Cosmic Canines. This is a sequel to Grapple Dog, which came out a couple years ago at this point. It was 2022, so yeah, a couple years ago. The original Grapple Dog game was a very cutesy kind of game. I did enjoy it. I thought it was pretty good. Had a pretty nice play style, and it seems like they're just kind of building upon that. This new game will be coming out on the 15th of August. You'll be playing as 2 different canines this time around. So you have the regular guy who did the grapple hook stuff, and then you have another character who is kind of goth, I guess. She uses a shotgun for her platforming instead of a grapple hook, so it's a little bit different than the original game. This is coming to Steam, Switch, and Xbox. No PlayStation release just yet. In the press release, they said pure platforming bliss. Fast-paced swinging action meets a whole host of fresh abilities such as magnetic panels and fire dashing. New worlds journey across dimensions in an epic quest to save everything. Each unique world is bustling with vibrant, eye-catching pixel artwork. Gameplay galore. Sail across the cosmos to explore multiple worlds filled with tons of levels, hidden collectibles, and secret areas, memorable boss battles, bonus levels, time trials, and much more. And there's an exhilarating soundtrack. Jazz Mickles' catchy killer soundtrack will have Grapple Dog's beats stuck in your head forever, with level-by-level jams that will surely get your tail wagging. The original game really excelled at level design, for sure. This one looks like it's going to be even more varied, which is nice. Even the screenshots themselves that we're seeing here have pretty much 4 very unique areas that you are platforming in. So I'm very excited for this. I thought the first game was really good. This one's going to be $15, so it's a pretty fair price, I would say. If you want to check that out, that's coming August 15th. Add that one to your wish list. The Tomb Raider 1 through 3 remastered physical collector's edition has been announced. Last week I got confused because Limited Run put out a post about like the Lara Croft Temple of Osiris games, and there was a collector's edition for those for whatever reason. But now we officially have the information for the Limited Run collector's edition of Tomb Raider 1 through 3 remake. So this is all that you're going to get in this physical collector's edition. You get the physical version of the game, premium trading cards. It looks like you get a USB thumb drive. You get a steelbook. You get the soundtrack on disc. You get a map book. You get a classic replica of the Lara Croft pistols, which is pretty cool. You also get polygonal figurines in the game for in-game accurate model. I'm sorry, you get polygonal figurines in-game accurate models from each title, which is kind of cool too. And then you also get 12 by 16 original game cover posters. This is a lot, and I'm sure that's going to be a lot of money. Yeah, it's going to be $200 if you want to get the collector's edition. It comes with a lot, and I feel like it's kind of worth that price with how much you get. But it is a pretty penny for that. It's going to be shipped sometime around March 2025. I believe pre-orders are opening on June 23rd if you want to get this collector's edition. If you want something if you want a regular physical edition, you'll be able to pay $30 for the game physically from both limited run games and your usual retailers. So that's actually, I feel like I'll probably be picking up the physical version of the game at least. The collection edition, though, a little bit too pricey for me. Boom, bada bing. All right, there's a new game called Mouse and Crane, which is designed to be a starter game for young children from ages like 4 and upwards. Essentially, it's designed with simple controls and a simple story to help kids understand the basics of video games. And it's very cutesy. I mean, I don't think I'm going to buy this game, but it's very cutesy. It's got a very nice art style. If you have a young child, Mouse and Crane might be something that you want to think about picking up and seeing if they're interested in it. This will be releasing on June 21st on the Switch, if you want to check that out. In the press release, the CEO and producer at Tobo Games said, "When we started creating this game, we knew it had to be accessible for younger children. This game is being created with a focus on a young child's skill level. The levels are designed to encourage cooperation and help boost their problem-solving confidence. Mouse and Crane for Switch won't require young players to know how to read, and important information is either spoken or displayed as universally understandable icons." So, yeah, it seems like it's going to be a pretty interesting game for, young children. Once again, if you want to check that out, it's going to be on the Switch sometime in June 21st. Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door has a retro GameCube cover available for it on the My Nintendo store in the US. It's going to be 30 platinum points in the My Nintendo rewards section, but you can print out and slip it on your Paper Mario Thousand Year Door game case when you get the Switch physical release. So yes, you do need to print it yourself. So if you want to, you could probably go to a print shop and get a very nice slip cover made, or you can go to your local print shop. I don't know. I did redeem this unknowing that it was a printable thing. I thought they were going to ship it to you because why? I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking. But yes, it is something you need to print yourself. So if you have the means to do so, I would definitely recommend, if you're interested, purchasing it for the 30 platinum points. If you don't have any platinum points, there is a quick way to earn 100 really fast on the Nintendo website, and you go to the Bowser's Fury webpage and you just find 5 hidden stickers, and it's super easy. You get 100 platinum points practically for free. You can also earn platinum points by playing their mobile games, but I wasn't about to do that. Banjo-Kazooie is getting a Funko Pop coming soon. You can pre-order it now on Amazon. I already have, of course. This one looks a lot better than the last Funko Pop. I think this one looks good. I don't know why there's some animosity around it. I think this one looks good. The last games, like the GameStop exclusive one, looked not as good. This one looks pretty good though. I do like how this one looks. So this Banjo-Kazooie Funko Pop is going to go for about $13 online. You can pre-order it on Amazon, like I already said. I believe it's also going to be in-store as well. And it'll be available on August 14th. So there you go. The original model that was sold at GameStop was $25. So this one's like a normal size Funko Pop. I'm not a huge Funko Pop guy, but when it says Banjo-Kazooie and it's Banjo-Kazooie, you don't see me complaining. I'm gonna buy that and put it on my shelf. And finally, for the coming soon section, here are 12 games that are leaving PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium tiers in June. I believe it's June 15th or something like that. I don't see a date for this, but sometime in June, here are the PlayStation Plus extra games you're going to be losing. So, Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons, DC League of Super Pets: The Adventures of Crypto and Ace, Dodgeball Academia, Grand Theft Auto 5, Indivisible, Monster Jam Steel Titans, MotoGP 23, SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated, The Talos Principle Deluxe Edition, The Wild at Heart, and Unturned. And then there's one game in the premium category, Baja Edge of Control HD will be leaving that service on June 18th. I just saw it here. On June 18th, those will all be leaving the PlayStation Plus program on June 18th. So make sure you check it out before then. Any game that you want there. All right, let's go ahead and finish this up with Guess That Song. If you know the song's name and the game it's from, make sure you comment it down below, and I will give you a heart and a congratulations. Or if you're in the Discord, make sure you post the name and the game it came from in the Discord in the Fair 64 section, and I will give you a super reaction. Let's listen to this week's song right now. All right, if you know that song name and the game that came from, just let me know. Comments below or in the Discord. All right, folks, thank you so much for listening to this episode of the podcast. I do appreciate that. If you want to check me out on any of the other platforms, it's all at Yemmy the Fair, whether it be YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and more. We stream Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, with the Ferret Cafe podcast being on every other Thursday night. If you want to check that out. I also run a podcast called Film Freeze with a Z, where we talk about movies. The latest episode is about Planet of the Apes from 1968. The next episode is going to be about Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. That comes out next week. If you want to check either of those out. Anything else, it's all at Yemmy the Ferret. Like I said, there's also a VODs channel you can check out, Yemmy the Ferret VODs, to check out the past streams that we've done. I'm Yemmy the Ferret, and I'm out of here. Have a good rest of your day and or weekend. I'll talk at you next week. Bye-bye.
The Ferret 64 podcast is owned and edited by Yemmy the Ferret. The song Nightshade, used in the intro and outro, is owned by Adhesive Wombat. Small sound clips during the podcast were made by Yemmy the Ferret. News sources include NintendoLife.com, PushSquare.com, and PureXbox.com. All opinions video game related are my own. Thank you for listening.